To honor America, please rise for our national anthem.
Hello and welcome to the next video and the new year, 2026. Apologies for being delayed in the release of this video, but I think you'll understand why once I jump into things. I've finally overcome my cheese and alcohol stupor from the holidays, so am getting back to serious business. But as you can clearly see by the title, this is not the DIY Navmesh video. That was the plan until a fastball came across my plate. A few months ago, my friend Lab reached out and asked if I wanted to help him develop his game, Aethyr, on screen now. And naturally, I said yes. Some of you attentive viewers may even remember that I played the Steam demo on the channel when it was in the Steam Next Fest. I remember having an insane, out-of-the-blue allergy attack while recording that. It was just awful. Of course, we were both spinning a lot of plates, Lab definitely more so than myself, so nothing came of it for a while until the start of this year when he tossed me the keys to his repo and told me to hop in. Now, when Lab brought me on, he asked me to rework his graphics pipeline, but since I was still recovering from my year-end binge, it took some time for me to get my sea legs, especially considering the size and all of his repo. 100,000 lines of C#. God damn, LSPs cannot handle that volume, baby. Now, I will save my kvetching about C# for the end, veggies before dessert after all, but needless to say, I am raw dogging this. No LSPs, just edit, compile, run, and e-tags. Thankfully, Lab gave me a good introductory task that gave me a nice, tidy focus to orient myself with. So, peek behind the curtains, Aethyr uses Monogame, an open source branch of the XNA. So, its graphics pipeline is very inspired by DirectX, but it also supports OpenGL. So, all in all, with my previous graphics programming, I wasn't completely at a loss. Honestly, thank God it's not Vulkan. That's all I'm gonna say. I'd be done. So, vanilla monogame just pushes the position, UV coordinate, and color of each vertex to the GPU for rendering, but Lab needs more data being pushed to the GPU for rendering, which is, honestly, you may protest, it is completely understandable. When I first started grepping around the codebase, there were just per sprite shader uniforms used just all over the place for per sprite customization, which is decidedly not ideal, since that means we can't batch quads together for rendering because each sprite has unique shader uniforms, which ultimately drags down the frame rate since, again, we're not batching quads. Since it is immediate, we're just pushing a quad immediately to the GPU one by one, instead of waiting for a whole batch to be ready and just shoving over that big old buffer. What can I say? Folks, on this channel, we like big buffers. And again, looking back at my increasing focus on data-oriented design and cache locality and performance, I ended up just a natural fit for this. Lab linked to me an alternative sprite batcher that he tried out, but ultimately didn't get off the ground himself and asked me with making it happen. And needless to say, treasured viewer, I sure as hell did, but not without some big stumbles initially. For a long time, it really was a 2 steps forward, 1 step back situation. Lab's been working on this for years, so while I had a focus on just rendering, there were some unforeseen complications that I simply didn't expect when I was first thinking about how I was going to do all this. But first, I had to find my way around the code base. Again, OmniSharp simply did not work. I gave it an honest try, but I'll admit there were some funny initial commits because I was like, yeah, OmniSharp's gonna catch it. LSPs work. No, 100,000. No, it just doesn't. So I just have to raw dog it. I'm raw dogging this repo. Now, if you do contract work, you know what's up. You have no clue how anything works at first, just gotta look for main and grep your head above water. And that's how it is. LSPs may fail, but grep never will. Of course, I also use e-tags. Let me tell you, 100,000 lines, tag table in a fucking second, boy. Thank you for listening to my per video prescription to return to tradition that I am legally obligated to issue. So, step 1, do some setup so I can toggle between the new and old rendering, that way I can compare them back to back. Pretty straightforward. Overload all the old sprite batch draw calls with the new sprite batch draw calls. Again, easy task for grep. Next, where the old sprite batcher was accessed directly, i.e. not an argument to a function, I set up a preprocessor if else, so that way I could toggle between the working and work in progress systems by just commenting and uncommenting a preprocessor defined. And then the actual work began. The batcher I had to work off of was honestly a good starting point. But can it draw strings? No. Can it handle anything other than just batched draw calls? No. So, of course, I set up a small testing project and got to work. And long story short, I got it working. Here's a quick collage of the mid-development failures that ultimately lead to success. And let me tell you, I would quickly vacillate between ecstatic celebration when I got the new edition working in my little test project, and then just pure dooming when it didn't work in-game without some modifications. As you can see, things were not perfect from the get-go, but that's life. Strings in particular. Here's the final drawstring function up on screen now. Pretty clean if I do say so myself, but I still gotta replace those heap allocations with some stack allocations. But again, I'll get into that in my C# kvetching section, but my god, I was double fisting the mono game source code and documentation for this one. And honestly, I seem to have this uncanny ability where I just end up working on stuff where the documentation just dries up completely. Like, look at my beloved Vertex Buffer class here. Disposing? What's going on here? But I will say, monogame, second best documentation after Mozilla's JavaScript docs. Quite refreshing, really. Although, in retrospect, looking at the source code for drawstring while implementing my own drawstring was just a terrible idea. First of all, it uses so many private and internal stuff. Again, wait for the C# kvetching section, that I had to do something completely different than what they do. I was about to go off the goop. I was getting ready to just access private fields with pointer arithmetics. Like you, private? That's looking like a snack. But yeah, I did not have to go complete hacker man on drawstring. However, let's look back at their source code. Look at this sexy Newton's method they use. That their right shift for dividing by 2? Hot. God, I wish it wasn't locked behind all of C#'s enterprise bullshit, because I wanted to use it because it's just, it's so hot. But yes, as you can see on screen now, everything's working except for shadows. Lab and I talked about it, and he has a new plan for rendering shadows, so why bother ultimately? And, you know, this feels a little silly showing you footage because my ultimate goal for this was to make it match the old one completely. I even went about making the draw signature match the old one. But despite your perception of me, I am a team player, so there is an optional parameter at the end to specify all the new quad data that Lab wants. So hopefully it feels very good and natural for Lab to use, since again, it's practically the same interface. Okay, I held in for this long. I'm letting it rip, boys. Here are my gripes with C#. Honestly, I got spoiled with C. I realized that. Look at this humiliation ritual I have to undergo just to copy bytes from one known location to another. I know I could just assign fields. I'm not gonna do that. I'm not that man. I have to go through such shame just to assure the C# language that I have a bit of the divine spark within me. In any God-fearing language, I should be able to just mem copy. But hot take, C# got rid of manual memory management and just, it got all this bullshit instead. Span? Memory? Fixed? Unsafe? Just let me use pointers and there won't be an incident. Instead, I have to just do a whole do-si-do with ref in and out and all this bullshit. Read-only ref? My god. Like, I give C++ a lot of flack, but C# got rid of pointers to just replace it with a metric load of bullshit. And there's so many different articles from Microsoft and varying documentations depending on which .NET version you're using. By the way, we're using like .NET 3.1 to like 8. We're just balling, you know, whatever it takes, boys. Okay, where was it? It's just too much for my pure C soul. There are too many keywords, and then there's the whole attribute system you have to consider too. I'm just trying to make some bing bing wahoo here, fellas. Like, I'm a big proponent of just, you know, quote, just learn it, bro. But keep in mind, that's just in regards to stuff like C macros, and I'll die on this hill that they are not hard since it is just text substitution. But my god, there's just so much stuff, and I just want to program, not get ready for a trivia night here, fellas. And really, that's why I've enjoyed working in C. It's a small language that fits in the palm of your hand, whereas C# wouldn't fit in a farm. Also, look at this. C# has closures? That's insane. Just imagine how that works. This is too much. Also, fixed? Think about that. What does that mean? That means the GC can just hop in anywhere and be like, oh, sorry, you're using that memory? Oh, sorry, I gotta move it around, fella. I'm gonna use it, bud. I'll fix it. Hold up, I'm using it, but I'm in here. Also, give me my C99 style construct, please. I beg, please. And actual macros, please. Oh god, like I used C# with Unity when I first started out doing game dev, but coming back to it now that I have some proper knowledge under my belt, it's just such a pernicious, untrusting language. In the immortal words of Mike Ross, you've seen my stuff. Your boy can ball. Your boy breaks ankles. I can't with C# though. It's just a real no fun allowed kind of language. Like maybe if you're into BDSM, you can enjoy C#, but I'm a vanilla guy and that's just how the Lord made me, alright? Amen. In private? Why? You're gonna write code that nobody else can use? What the fuck is wrong with you? Oh, but it changes internal state. Oh. Look at me. I read source code. I read docs. Let me use your code. Alright, no more ranting. So, as I said at the start of the video, I do have a few more changes to make with this rendering pipeline because I just learned about Stackalog, alright? After that, I got a roadmap, make content loading instant. After all, we're in the edit, compile, run loop, so we gotta make it all as fast as possible to iterate as quickly as possible. So as I mentioned at the top, the demo of Aethyr is on Steam as we speak. You can give it a whirl and see if you like it. It reminded me of Sword of Mana, if you ever play that on the GBA. Classic. There's some fun class builds, and Lab is currently working on more for the final release, and you can really sink your teeth into the combat. I've linked the Steam page in the description. Plus, speaking of Aethyr development, Lab released his debut devlog in the last couple of days of December, and I think he's on the monthly-ish release schedule, just like myself. As you can see by not only Aethyr, he's a great pixel artist and has some cool graphics, so if you want to know more about that angle of Aethyr development, you can subscribe to his channel as well. I've linked his YouTube in the description, but unlike me, he's not camera shy. So if you need that for your parasocial relationships, there you go. And that's it for this video. Again, apologies, this wasn't the DIY Navmesh video as promised, but you know, life happens. If I were working on my own project, I'd undoubtedly pause that to work on what I promised for the people because that is what I do. But this isn't my own project, so I feel bad just thinking about doing that. Like, I know Lab, and he definitely would let me, but he took a really long hiatus sorting out important life stuff for a couple years, and now that he's back in the saddle, I don't want to weigh him down like that. So, if I ever hit a nice lull with Aethyr development, the viewer requested videos will move to the front burner. But until then, this is what's on the dock. But in closing, and as always, thank you for watching, I appreciate your time, and I hope you have a good day. If you liked the video, please give it a like, and if you want to follow along with Aethyr development for the time being, please subscribe. I got lazy about responding to comments over the holidays, but I do read all of them, and I'll get back to responding. There's also a Discord server for the channel where you can chat about game dev and programming. Please post memes in general. And it's where I share photos of what I bake when I do. And speaking of baking, let's get to it. All right, I got a tea. I'm a little calmed down. Just did some breathing exercises following that C# rant. But yeah, so starting off the baking segment actually is the Thanksgiving turkey bird from last year. And as you can see, I sprinkled broken leaves on. I'm kidding. I'm joking. It's definitely black pepper and tarragon. Last year is a little more. I don't think. Oh, excuse me. I got a little something in my throat. But yeah, last year I don't think I put any butter under the breast. A little more straightforward. I've been moving away from butter under the breast because it ends up just dripping out and burning on the bottom of the pan. It's delicious, but that's what it does. But yeah, just tarragon and black pepper. And let me tell you, I've said this before. I'll say it a million times. Tarragon is my favorite herb. And that's why I named the Godot LSP I'm working on Tarragon, because I love it. So we got another picture here, as you can see, looking good. And I think I gotta admit, I think I hit these two pictures with little Instagram filter. Well, whatever the built-in camera filter is because these two are WebPs instead of JPEGs. So if it's looking a little vibrant, if the turkey's looking a little particularly yellow, that's my fault. I shouldn't have done that. In retrospect, yeah, I think I was experimenting with my new phone here, just giving it a whirl. But that's that. Excuse me, what else? But yeah, that's the turkey. As you can see, spatchcock every time. Rip out the tendons on the drumstick so that way when you're eating that, it's nice and easy. That's my Thanksgiving advice to you. You know, spatchcock it. It's done in like hour 15 minutes. It's always the breast and the light meat, dark meat, both come out uniform. If you can, tuck the wingtips behind those. Don't get the biggest bird, you know. I know some people get like 12-pound birds. That's insane, dude. That's insane. You know, if you want turkey later, just get like two 8-pounders, you know, just get 2 birds. That way you can have them like, you know, a turkey you labor over for days, and then just another turkey like just cut it up into the individual slices, cook them all, you know, so they're all done perfectly. You got leftovers, easy peasy. And plus after Thanksgiving, like turkey, they're just giving away turkey, man. It's on sale, dude. You can just get that shit for free. They're giving it away. It's like, it's a fire sale. But yeah, that's my turkey advice every year. Look at that. Man, that persimmon. Yeah, I hit those persimmons in the background. And by the way, those top left underneath banana. Yeah, those persimmons. Yeah, I admit I use the Instagram filters. My apologies. But I got another in the picture number 3. Surprise. It's the focaccia, and this was the first bread of 2025. And I will admit, including this year, after the holidays, after Christmas and everything, I'm like, no baking for like a January, you know, no baking. I'm eating vegetables, I'm drinking water, no baking, none whatsoever. So yeah, I'm basically, I think I already made a loaf this year, but my God, after that, I'm just like, I need to lose weight. I gotta lose like 20 pounds. Actually, no, probably just 15. But yeah, I gotta trim down after all the holidays. But let me tell you, every year I put on the freshman 15 between Thanksgiving and Christmas. It's probably not the best moving forward. So, I gotta work on that. But as you can see, focaccia. If I had to guess, this is 600 grams of flour, which is why in a 9x9 baking tin, which is why it's just absolutely massive. But yeah, looking at the zoom in on the crumb structure, again, focaccia is always an enriched dough, but so the crumb is not always the best. But honestly, this looks like a 70% hydration, which is just crazy. Maybe I just wanted a simple bread. It happens. Sometimes I just want some bread. I'm like, oh yeah, just need this to eat. Otherwise I'm going to die. Starvation. Oh my God, 15 pounds, no, I'm dying of starvation. But, so that's that. It looks good. Calm down. And honestly, I got a lab cooks and bakes as well, so I have to get him doing his own cooking segments. So that way, get him ready for his eventual pivot to food tubing instead of game dev YouTubing. My God, yeah, I'm keeping that card in my pocket. You may never know. One day it's gonna be Natsu Games. It's gonna be Natsu Foods. No, I kid. My God, I could never. I'm too camera shy to be a food tuber. I know, what's his name? Super Canoe? Like, he never shows his face either. That'd be me, That'd be me. As the old saying goes, you got a face for radio. Oh, God, that's so mean, dude. So mean, They got some low-key mean phrases, Back in the day when you could just hit a person like, damn, you fugly. They really had to be, you had to be a little creative about that thing, about that kind of stuff. My God. Oh, God. But yeah, anyways, that's it for this video. And I can gonna use the usual sign off. God, face for TV. It's just, man, you know, you have to turn on your brain. But people could be mean back then. Oh God. But yeah, the sign off. God. Oh. The yeast in the air is free. Go out there and bake. It's nutritious. It's delicious. It's good for you, and it makes a great gift. You can read that however you want. I'm about to give yeast as a housewarming gift to some of my sourdough. So honestly, yeah, both readings are true. Both the yeast and the baked good. But again, and if, oh my God, finally, it's a great way to show people that you appreciate them, and I appreciate all of you. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.